Hey, Art McDermott here from Successful Aging Academy. Recently I was on phone with some people in this business group I belong to, and the big thing we're all doing right now is our planning for 2019. Most businesses do this, projections and goal setting and revenue targets and sales targets and all that. You're very familiar. But it occurred to me that no one really does it for themselves. And I'm not talking about New Year's resolutions and things like that. That you say, I'm going to do this, and by February, March, you can't remember what they were. I mean like a real planning for yourself. And that's frankly where most people, over the years when I've worked with people, most people fail at the planning piece, right? It's not that they don't have a purpose or they don't have the access to the equipment or the motivation to do it. They don't plan properly, so they kind of wander, and then if there's no structure, then it just doesn't work. It's not how we operate as people. So I said, why don't we put together a series helping people to make a plan for 2019? And so I came up with this. I'm going to call it the 2019 Life Changer Plan. Again, moving away from a resolution type attitude and approach to something longer lasting, something life changing. And I know that you can do this with the right plan in place. So I'm going to walk through, I'm going to guess about a 4-part series on how to do this correctly. I'm going to put everything I know into these 4 videos. So let's start with a couple of questions. First thing, I've already written them out up here. Number 1, I'd like you to answer this sentence. And obviously everything helps if you write it down. My health and outlook would change dramatically if only I could what? Complete that sentence. If you can finish that sentence, then you'll know what your biggest thing is. What is your biggest goal or obstacle? If I could stop doing this, if I could start doing X, right? What is it? How do you finish this sentence? My health and outlook would change dramatically if only I could what? And you'll find that this is either something to achieve or something holding you back. All right, so please answer that sentence. And the next sentence, question I should say, is looking at this very similar, but looking at it in a little bit of a different way. And here it is. If you and I had a conversation 12 months from now, next Thanksgiving break, right, as I film this, let's say, what would have to be different in order for you to consider your biggest goal met? That is, and I like this one because it gets you thinking in a visual way. How do you see you, and this is all about you, this is not about family or work or anything else, although the balance piece may come into play there. What is it that you visualize being different? All right, in 12 months from now, yes, I've achieved my goal because I did this. All right, so those are 2 different ways of looking at something very similar. And I want to emphasize that if you have the correct, detailed answers to these 2 questions, you're already ahead of like 90% of the people out there who don't even think about stuff like this. They'll spend weeks and hours making projections for work at a job they may or may not even like, but they won't take the time to do this for themselves. All right, and I think that's time we did that. So that's the purpose behind this, really, is to kind of answer these questions. What I want to do now is list the things that we're going to cover in these coming videos. So what are the pieces that need to be in place or taken care of? All right, here are all the little pieces that I believe need to be in place in order to have a proper, successful, well thought out plan for you to change your life. All right, so number 1 is nutrition. If you're looking to make a major physical change, let's say it's weight loss, weight management, nutrition is going to give you 70% of your results. I would like to stand here and say, oh, my workouts are so awesome, it's all you need. That's a lie, okay? And anyone who tells you that is not being truthful with you. It's nutrition, okay? Number 2 is physical activity. If you're one of those people who despises all forms of physical activity, you don't want to sweat, you may want to walk by a gym. You're shooting yourself in the foot in several ways. I'm not going to lecture you on that right now, but it does speed up your results by a minimum of 30%. Right? If 70% is nutrition, guess what? Physical activity is going to be the rest of the equation there. And that's even according to the the physiological formulas that are out there. All right, next is sleep. Sleep, I always tell people, probably should be at the top of the list. Fix sleep first is the expression I like to use, because everything else kind of follows from here. If you can't sleep or don't sleep well, you're hurt in a lot of other ways. Next, stress. Obviously, stress reduction. Okay, stress is arguably one of the number one killers in this country, because we're stressed 24/7. We're going to dive into that one for sure. It's a huge, huge issue. Next, we're going to look at, we're going to talk about mindset and outlook. All right, and this really comes into play in a lot of different levels. Positivity, and confidence. Right? A lot of people simply don't have confidence, for example, that they can make a program like this work. They just don't believe they can. They've tried and failed before. It's too complicated, it's too hard, I'm not going to be able to do it. So they lack that mindset, the outlook, and the confidence to be able to do that. All right. Next is understanding your biggest obstacles. Some people have never really put a name to those obstacles. All right, we need to. And there's a very distinct, perfect formula that we can do to break these down. I call them the big rocks, right? How do you get those rocks out of your way? Right? Let's break them down into stones and pebbles and just wipe them aside. And there's a way you can do that. All right, we're going to walk through that. Next one is one of my favorites. Let's call it your ideal you. And this is visualization. Okay, pardon my awesome penmanship here. So I've used visualization throughout my whole life. As an athlete, it's a very, very powerful tool to learn and ingrain good technique in whatever you happen to be doing. So the better you can visualize the ideal you, which obviously this goes back to those first questions we started with, then the more likely you will have success in getting there. Your mind, your subconscious mind does not like the incongruities, like I am lean and fit and mobile and have a positive attitude, if that's not really the case. It will go about fixing that. We're going to dive into visualization and how to use that properly, right? And these are the, basically, it may look like a lot of things to dial in, but it really isn't, because they don't even take care of themselves, all right? We're going to start with sleep, and then we actually have a course inside the membership site on how to sleep better. Next time, however, we're going to start the next video. I'm going to start here. The biggest obstacles. What is something is standing in your way? What is it? Otherwise, you wouldn't need this video, and there wouldn't be a need for personal trainers, and the whole industry would go away if everyone had no obstacles to achieve their goals. So we're going to start there. All right, that is part one of the series. And I want you to, if you could, answer those questions that we asked at the beginning, right? Which is, my health and attitude would change dramatically for the better if I could just what? All right? And then this one is kind of getting a picture in your head. If I spoke to you 1 year from now, all right, 12 months from now, we're having the same conversation, what would have to change in order for you to consider your goals met? You did it. You put in a big, audacious goal out there, and you actually got it, right? What does that look like to you? So what is success looking like to you? Okay, let's break down these in the next section, and I look forward to speaking with you some more.